Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, conspiracy theories all around the world, including people that love hot wings. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Episode number 52 coming right at you. Bloody boys, treating the fans with a double episode this week. We got two. One dropped Monday night, which you probably already listened to, and I'm speaking as you're listening to it. Bit of time lapse there. Who would have thunk it? And this bad boy's coming out into your ears now, but before we get into it, should introduce the man that pushes the buttons, including my own sometimes. Producer DL, how are we? Talk to me.
You push my buttons constantly.
Yeah, I know. It's the other way around, isn't it?
Snags, I'm good. Yeah, like you said, second podcast of the week. The boys are pretty busy at the moment. Plus, we've got a heap of cool stuff coming up in the next coming week. Well, actually, maybe this coming week and the next. So we've got a couple of good things going on with the podcast. Boys are super busy. We're also getting close to naming our mid-year run-it-back champion, which I'm pretty excited about. I know there's only a couple of cards left for us to deal with. Actually, 3 to be precise. So 2 podcasts to go. And look, I can't go too far. Snags did allude to it a little bit in his intro, the Pacific Cup with the boys. Dale and Trey, we're watching, boys. We're watching. But before I jump into that, I'm going to introduce the man that enjoyed the return of Nate Diaz in the theatre on Sunday. Stoney, what is good?
DL, good to be back. Actually, it was cut off from the outside world with floods over the last week. Just made it back to the theatre in time for the last 3 fights on the card, so got to enjoy the Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards fight. Absolute cracking weekend. We'll cover a bit of it a bit later, but yeah, it really got me in the mood for bigger things to come, boys, so can't wait.
How the bloody hell is Australia at the moment? We've got every natural disaster under the sun that's hit us in the last couple of things, just like I'm probably going to hit Stoney's one day. But the man himself, Statman, I don't know if I should even introduce you this week with the look of the leaderboard. You're an absolute dog, mate.
I'm sorry. I know. It's like a Cinderella story from last to first on the from last run back championship to now. But no, I'm going to take it over, and I'm going to hold the tiny little Stoney belt high in the air when I do take the championship. It's funny you mentioned that about the Australia running through every single natural disaster. That was exactly what was going through my mind when Stoney said he was cut off by floods. I was like, my brother also lives in Victoria, and they had a massive power outage and fire for days as well. It's like, what have you guys done down south that has pissed?
We sacrificed a llama, and I think the locust plague's coming next, boys.
Come on, mate. It's coming.
Mate, the only Cinderella story you'll be having, not a tiny belt, it'll be a tiny little glass slipper, baby, because you're staying out of first place, okay?
Check the leaderboard again.
No,
staying out of first place.
At the end of it, okay?
Oh, okay, cool.
Count back.
Well, boys, we better thank our sponsors before we jump into the podcast. Humble Fightwear is an Australian jiu-jitsu brand that celebrates one of the most important parts of martial arts, becoming humble. Snags.
Look, as the leader of this podcast, leader of the leaderboard, DL, I love the passion behind it, and passion resonates with me. I'm a humble leader and a humble winner, but more so, I'm just a fan of humble. I've said humble 47 times because that's how much I love them, boys. Statman, Stoney, where do we get them?
Well, obviously you can check out their Instagram account. They've got several good images up there. Or you can head to www.humblefightwear.com.au and help them spread good vibes one purchase at a time.
And for being amazing run-it-back listeners, the legends at Humble Fightwear are giving you 15% off your entire order. Snags, how do they get that?
That's that code word RIB15. That's all right. RIB15 at checkout. Get around the boys, pretty please, and thank you very much. Boys, welcome back to Harvey Snags, baby. I won't put my moustache on this week, but I wish I had Lestranges because it's bloody delicious. Boys, this is going to be actually, we're going to roll this segment in and out of the potty from now on, so it's going to be maybe the last time you've heard it for a little time, so don't be sad. It's going to come back every now and again, but the listeners want some Snags creativity, so thinking about a couple extra segments to punch in the next couple of fortnights. But boys, as per usual, welcome. And the leaderboard at the moment stands Stoney at 1, DL at 0, Statman at 0, even though he won one because he's on -1. And hopefully he can claw one back today, Statman. I've put this one in your realm, okay?
Awesome.
for you. So
How about put one in my realm?
I couldn't think of many things that were like mat and seat and stuff. I was going to say random MMA things.
Fair.
That man's gone. So
It's
in
early.
saying that, buzzers for the week. DL, seat is your one.
Seat. Right.
Yep.
Thanks.
Statman, you can have Matt.
Matt.
And Stoney, you can have fans. That's very DL of you. Thank you for reminding me of those buzzers this week. Okay, boys. Harvey Snags has surveyed 100 people across the globe for this week's question. Obviously MMA related. I've gone to the UFC for this one. Please buzz in first. Normal rules apply, boys. We're going to start this one off with a UFC question. Name someone that's been a UFC heavyweight champion.
Matt.
No, Matt hasn't. There's been no Matt. I got you there, good.
You nailed it.
Yep, Statman hit me.
I reckon if you've surveyed 100 people, you want to get the best answer is probably Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar, ding, 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 is on the list. He's come in. The fans have tried to stoop you, actually. He's come in at number 6.
Oof.
So the boys might be able to steal this one. Stoney, we'll hit you next.
DC.
DC is on the list as well, but unfortunately for you, the fans have stooped you. He's coming in at number 9. I've tried to make this a bit tricky. DL, can you take the cake and?
Well, I think I can, because I think if you've surveyed these people, recency bias will kick in. So Francis Ngannou.
There's not on the list. Try to trick the boys fans. Checkmate.
What did you ask the kids down at your kids' school?
Look, I said 100 people. I didn't say where they were from, what their viewership of MMA was. Okay, took me a while to get around those fans too. Jesus, how about you boys give me some respect? Statman, that means the game's over to you. 3 correct answers, and you'll peg yourself to 1 point. Brock Lesnar and DC's already gone, so hit me. Need
Cain
3.
Velasquez.
Cain Velasquez is correct. So he's coming at number 7.
I want to go Stipe, but the fact that Francis Ngannou is not on there is terrifying. But I'll go Stipe Miocic.
Stipe is on there.
Okay, cool.
You need one more for the win, and this is why I've geared it towards you. I know you're going to get this one. Hit me.
Frank Mir.
Frank Mir is on the list. He gets the W. That was an easy one for the Statman. Boys, I've gone from, what do you want me to go from, 10 to 1?
Yeah, 10 to 1.
Bass Rotten, DC, Stipe, Kane, Brock Lesnar, Maurice Smith, Frank Mir.
Maurice Smith is on
Yeah.
there.
Who's
Francis
Maurice
Ngannou
Smith?
as
Yeah, 100% he is. Number 5, baby. Randy Couture, Mark Coleman, and then number 1, I went, he only had 1 title defense, Kevin Randleman.
well. Yeah,
Yeah, that's who the fans thought was number 1, boys.
number 1
You
in
heard it
our
here
hearts
first.
anyway. Yeah.
Well, no, in the fans' heart, not mine. I would have picked someone else, but I probably would have picked Francis Ngannou. But yeah, I don't tempt myself with my own polls. Okay.
In the main event and after a dominating performance, 50-45, Vettori still claimed the win. Is Vettori seeing something we aren't? And where does this leave the 27-year-old in this division?
Look, boys, I would like to put this statement in towards one of my favourite singers. I think his name's Ray Charles. Is Ray Charles blind?
He's your favourite singer, not ours.
I think he is.
What was the
but
question? Is Ray Charles what?
Blind.
Blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, Victoria is as well if you think you're close to that one, boys, because it's far off. I was going to say Roy Orbison, but then I always
You could have gone
remember
Andrea
Roy Orbison.
Bocelli. He's
Yeah,
an
there's a few
Italian
blind
gentleman.
Do you know Roy Orbison always tricks you because he wears the glasses all the time, but he's not actually blind? Bloody Roy.
Look, Dale, I don't know what he's looking at. I loved Izzy rolling his eyes and all the carry on after it, because that was clearly one of the most one-sided fights. So the fact that Vettori thought he was even in with a chance is a little bit bemusing.
It wasn't even at the end of the fight. Like, in between rounds, you could see Vittori's corner getting exasperated with him, saying, "You're losing this fight," and Vittori was like, "Nah, I think I've got this." And that must be so frustrating. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Vittori forcibly moved camps after this, because if I was his coach, there's no way I'd be able to see him back on the mats on Monday. I'd be so disappointed.
On the couch, I said, just turned to Stoney and said, a lot of positivity in that corner, isn't there?
Mate,
It was don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And Vittori's just nodding his head. So.
Half the round was spent trying to get Vittori to acknowledge the fact that he'd lost the previous round before they could coach him.
Hit him first. That was the answer. Didn't work.
We asked the listeners if we were missing something. 98% said, bruh. And then 2% said, I thought it was close.
2% said it was close.
1%.
I didn't know Vittori
Ray
followed
Charles
us.
and Andre Pacelli on the Instagram again, boys.
So we're going local with this next point to Eternal MMA. The boys called out during the week on their social media for Buzzsaw v Astro Boy for a champion v champion. But are we missing the opportunity to give the run-it-back family Sam Hibbard the rematch?
Oh, Snags is super torn here, boys. Super torn. I'd love to see Sammy get his rematch. I think, like we spoke about on the Marsh Pod, he might need 1 or 2 fights to grab it. But that fight that we saw in Melbourne was all time too. 5-rounder that had the boys on the edge of their seats. But for me, I don't know if it's been done before, so I might stand corrected, but I would love to see an Eternal Champion versus Eternal Champion for someone to take 2 belts. And who better to do it than Astro Boy? I think he's got, the Haddon fight was absolutely amazing. And the Buzzsaw, coming home strong against Sammy as well. I think it'd be a cracking fight for the fans to watch.
Yeah, look, totally agree. Have to park the bias for Sammy Hibbert here. Clearly a favourite of the podcast and also a personal favourite. Not far behind Dimp Skilly's DL, which says a lot. But I need to park that bias because from memory, he won the belt and then lost it on his first defence. And I've just got a rule of thumb. In that situation, you don't run it back straight away. So all for the belt v belt matchup, and I'm sure Sammy Hibbert will go back, get a couple of wins, and we'll see him down the line in this spotlight again.
I'll put my hand up and say that I kind of overlooked Sean Etchell in the fight with Sam Hibbert. Going into it, I was all in on the Sam Hibbert train, but Sean Etchell showed a really, really good style in that fight, and I want to see him versus Astro Boy. I reckon a champion versus championship fight, and it's not like Steve Urchig is a flyweight champion moving up to bantamweight to fight for the title. He's been flipping between the 2 divisions, getting wins in each division. So he's as at home at bantamweight as he is at flyweight, and I really, really want to see that that champion v championship bout.
Let's go to the listeners. 42% said champ v champ. 58% said run it back with Sam.
Oh, it's close, eh?
I like
Close.
it.
Sam, Cam and Ben, bloody book something for the boys. Seriously.
Something, anything.
Anything. Give me something to hype up about.
Current events, boys. Well, could be current events. If we
could be.
If we hypothetically, boys, created a grappling match between 2 podcast members and streamed it live to the world, who would you want to see on the undercard? So I'm going to go around. I've got some pretty funny responses on our socials, but I'm going to go around with the boys first. Snags, who would you like to see on the undercard?
Firstly, I think we've accidentally broke who the grappling match is on the Marsh Potty.
Yeah, we might have.
So the cat's out of the bag. Stoney, can't wait to rip your head off one day, mate. But if we had an undercard, depends how that goes. I'd love to see fellow white belt Australian get a match against anyone. Maybe Statman if he's down there. But the Bash brothers would probably take it 2-0 for the night if he got a match.
Look, DL, I'm going to need to defend this 5-stripe white belt against someone once I'm done with Sugar Snag. So my vote is for Statman v DL, and I'll take the winner
Oh, Jesus.
in December.
We do a stand-up stat man.
Oh yeah, I'd be more keen for that than a grappling exchange.
I'll stand up. I'm more confident in my hands than I am with my ground game.
The last time I did
looks
any
like
sort of
he's-
cardio was probably about 8 years ago. So I'd probably
Let's do 1 minute rounds.
Mate, so if someone gets in like half guard on top of me, I'll be vomiting from
Do
exhaustion.
you want to do 3 stat man? Do you want to do 3 1 minute rounds? Just all,
I could
with pads.
absolutely like let's box, man. Let's do.
Yeah.
Oh, there we
three
go.
rounds.
Would you
I'd
two,
box.
wait, would you two actually box?
I would 100%.
Oh yeah,
box,
if I could put headgear on and stuff like that, I'd probably.
100%.
Stoney, you hearing this? We locking this in?
I thought I was going to get a hell no from DL when I raised that. Like, I'm so fucking aroused by that response.
Statman, who would you have on the undercard?
Well, I reckon if this podcast is hosting a grappling exchange, it's going to be the event to watch. So I reckon a co-main event for it would be Francis Ngannou versus John Jones for the UFC heavyweight title. As a co-main event for the podcast, boys.
Borders are closed.
Okay, so
Borders
Oh,
are
wait,
closed.
can I-
As if that's the only issue with the.
Can I quickly? I forgot to put Lestrange versus Frank, not Dylan. That's who I'd want. So
Yeah, sweet.
well, I think there was a few people on the right. There was quite a few people that actually sent some pretty stupid responses in. But McGregor versus Khabib got mentioned quite a few times. So I don't know what kind of size podcast we are, but we don't have that sort of cash.
Cam O'Neill versus
We
Ben
haven't won a
Vickers.
multi on this podcast for about 3 months. We've got no money. Lestrang's got some fans. So he's actually, someone's actually, it might be Lestrang himself. He said Lestrang versus anyone. The Springbok, JVH, he's calling for a DLV Snags.
Oh mate, tell you.
I don't. I've seen him roll. I'm not
I'll
sure.
let you boys shark tank me, and I'll take all 3.
There's a Statman versus DL, which we'll do. There's a Frank versus Statman. So someone wants Frank, not Dylan. There's a few emojis and very inappropriate emojis as well being sent through. I don't know why people do that. Anyway, and there was one that I like, but that's never going to happen. Jimmy Crute versus Jake Matthews.
What about Cam O'Neill versus Ben Vickers?
Mate, let's book that.
That'd be good.
We could do it. Well, they're on the opposite sides of the country, so
Or if they
might be
maybe
a bit
they'll
strong.
fly in for an eternal event or something. You never know.
Yeah.
DL, we just
Mutual
mentioned
ground.
that we're actually running this podcast at a significant loss based on our multis.
Yeah, we are.
We talked about free street. We could pay-per-view this. I think Stoney v Snags, DL v Statman,
Can't
Ben
believe
v
you two are going to
Cam.
box. I would never.
Already.
I would. Not,
I'm going to be live at the event, but I'm going to pay for that.
I would not let anyone punch me in the face.
I haven't sparred in about 11 years, but I love it. So let's
Statman,
go.
Statman, we'll take the details off. We'll take it off air for
Wait,
the details.
If me and Stoney are going to grapple, you two are going to box.
No, me and Statman will sort it out. We'll get our management to talk and we'll work it
Stoney.
out. So,
So it will be the last time I say it, but you and I are the smartest men on this podcast.
That segment works so much better than I thought it was going to.
Story by unanimous decision.
and boys, to grab a leaderboard update, it is myself sitting at 26. Stoney got a little bit tight at the top too. So there's something really tight at the top of the leaderboard, but Stoney's digging around. Not too
Yeah,
bad.
still in the mix, DL. Here's how close this actually is. If Nate Diaz had have finished Leon when he had him rocked, it would have been a 2-point swing and it would have been a 3-way tie for first place. So over to you, DL.
How exciting was it when he rocked him?
Mate, I was fucking, yeah.
Why didn't he go in? I was like, go in, go in.
I don't think he wants to win.
The point. I was like, punch him! Punch him in the face!
Look, if that's round 2 in the first minute, the point is valid. When there's less than a minute left on the clock, just,
and Leon Edwards' eyes are going in literally different directions.
Nate pointed one finger. Leon saw 5. Yeah.
I've never seen a worse poker face for getting punched in the face.
My heart rate was peaking very high in that last 30 seconds.
So Stoney got a bonus point on UFC 263. And then the boys, we have a draw. So tied at the top. So Snags is claiming on a count back. He
Mate,
still
I've been
holds
the
the
champion
belt.
for weeks, mate. So
But
you
if it's
can't-
Snags, you talk about count back, and you even mentioned this before we started doing the podcast. If we did a count back, Statman got 4-1-1. You got 3-0-1.
No,
So
mate, count back on who's the champion the week prior there, okay? You wouldn't know because you've never been there. So
Fair.
Snags, it doesn't matter if you're winning the race in Mario Kart for 3 laps and then you do the jump at Wario's Raceway and then you crash and then Toad, who's me, comes up and hits you with a red shell. You go spinning out.
Relevant reference.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm playing a lot of Mario Kart this week. Shut the fuck up.
You keep playing your Nintendo 64. Snags will stay on his Xbox One, mate, as we continue on to the legacy of Snags this leaderboard. And what have we got? I think we got 2 podcasts left for the picks.
Yeah, so the championship ends with the McGregor-Poirier card. So
we said the big one. That's right. So
yeah,
look, I'm happy that it's close because it's about time someone pushed me to the edge, and this when Snags does his best work, boys. So
I'm dusting off my belt shoulder. Get ready.
just a little brush for
Toad's
a belt.
I don't think Toad has shoulders, mate.
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's going to be a bit of fun.
Good times
So
for the
fucking
boys.
glad it's not us, man. Cabanossi burns my mouth, man. It's really good.
Nossi.
I'm so fucking white, and like I get satay chicken from my noodle place, and I ask them for mild, and then I'm just like I'm drooling all down my front. So when I thought that split decision was coming, and I had no pre-warning that Stoney had agreed a split decision, I was shitting myself, man. That was going to be terrible.
Statman, give me your honest feedback. What would you be more nervous for? This stand-up war of 3 by 1 minute rounds with DL, or eating hot wings?
Like in a heartbeat, I'm more nervous about the spicy stuff. Not to say that
Really?
I'm like DL. I'm sure could punch. He's fine. But I know there's like a 1% chance that DL hits me with a good enough shot that I shit myself. But I know there's a 100% chance that I shit myself if I eat spicy hot wings. So it's 100 versus 1% chance, and I'm going to go with the 1% chance.
We're going to jump into our fight picks as we look at the first card, Vegas 29. Starman.
Perfect. So we've got 3 fights from this card. We're heading to the very first fight on the card for a bit of Australian flair. We've got Casey O'Neill, friend of the podcast, versus Lara Procopio in the flyweight division. Lara Procopio took 18 months between her first and second UFC appearance. Casey O'Neill will be back in the cage for her second bout in under 4 months. Sergey Spivak made his MMA debut in 2014 at the age of 19. At the time of Spivak's first bout, Olenek already had a professional record of 52, 9 and 1 and was coming off his first UFC victory and his 41st submission win. We've been a fan of the past of record predicting, working out how a fight's going to go based on the current form. So here we go. Tim Elliott's most recent record progression is 3 losses, 3 wins, 1 loss, 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, 3 losses, and now 2 wins. So, following on from this, he should get up. Will it hold true?
That is a doozy stat that I
that's
didn't
good.
know about, mate.
Alexander Volkov has 15 first-round finishes to his record. Before the UFC, this accounted for 71% of all of his finishes. Since arriving in the UFC, he has finished 4 opponents, but 0 have been in the first round. To the main event, it's a heavyweight clash between Cyril Gane and Alexander Volkov. Alexander Volkov has 15 first-round finishes to his record. Before the UFC, this accounted for 71% of all of his finishes. Since arriving in the UFC, he has finished 4 opponents, but 0 have been in the first round.
Excellent, boys. And that rounds out the podcast and wraps up episode 52. If you like what we're doing, please like, share, comment, or subscribe to the podcast. If you don't know already, we've just launched a new website, Run It Back podcast.store. You can grab all our merch there. We're doing a heap of local fighter tees coming up, so keep your eye on our website over the next few weeks. That is episode 52. I'm producer DL.
I am Snaggy Snags.
I'm the stat man.
And my name is Stoney.